when I talk about spaces like verticals and community living is changing completely. So I want to understand that how are we still going to keep ourselves rooted to community living where we have everything around us and it's still approachable to us in certain way and we are maintaining a safer environment too, because that is the need of the pandemic where everything goes touchless, right? So what is your take on it? Probably Rohit, if you can take that forward for us.
Are you asking
So,
me?
Rohit, right.
yeah, Himani, I think one of the things I definitely feel we're going to see is this move towards a sort of hybrid development, wherein commercial, residential, hospitality, recreational, all these sort of spaces sort of merge into one. Especially because I think when you're looking at sustainability in the longer term, you're looking at carbon footprints and so on and so forth. The distance one commutes between these different environments is also crucial.
Right.
So um, I think human beings by nature are social.
Mm.
So the context for me of even imagining life, not really, the touch. I mean, the sense of touch, if it's going to leave entirely, I don't believe it is, because I think we're going to find a way around it instead. So, I mean, if we all think for a minute now that if we are working at home, people have made their homes more workable, people are trying to find ways to make it all happen. But if for a second we just found out that there isn't this COVID scenario, there is no pandemic, and you can just, what you do next, you can do of your own accord. I think everybody will be back on the roads. Everybody will be
Yeah.
in theaters. Everybody will be in. I mean, I've been watching a movie in a theater, and despite whatever else you might have at home. So for me, I feel life is going to definitely get back to normal. I feel India in particular is in a position of strength because we are used to disparity, we're used to hardships, we've been used to, the uh, this the sense of disease and stuff has been prevalent with us for a long time. And I feel Indian architects per se in general are equipped with just the right amount of let's say pain, if I might call it that way, to to get us past this. So yes, hybrid is definitely something I would bet on. But going touchless entirely is not something I would entirely think is going to be the case.
Okay. All right. What is your take, Mr. Dara? Like, if we have to go touchless, do you see that that is going to be the future for us, which is where everything is automized? Your mic is on mute.
So I don't agree on the a lot of automation or the advancement in terms of there are a lot of hitch as well. So I believe the simple life would be more comfortable. The sahaj, the simple. I mean, when we are talking about touchless or anything, that works for some time. It is not. We are living with the mass in our country, and that comes with very luxurious segment of for few people for many years. I mean, in the starting of pandemic, we were quite aware of everything, and we were quite skeptical. We were doing a lot of things, even the lift button being operated with the toothpick and so on. So many
Yeah.
videos, and now we are bindas. We are absolutely become bindas that we are doing everything. As rightly Rohit said, very soon we'll be like what we were. Very soon.
Right.
So, of course, the pandemic is teaching us a lot of things. There's no doubt about it. But ultimately, after a point, everything will be normal. But yes, we can adopt a lot of things, which could be, in terms of hygienic hygiene people have understood the meaning or the importance of hygiene, and that is a big achievement, or so on. But at the same time, we are talking in a very class or very small segment of people who are actually still thinking about all these things. But if you can go to the villages or you can go to many other areas where people are still skeptical about even the vaccination, simple thing about that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's fine. It's fine. We have to take it in a way that whatever we learned and we should spread as much as possible uh, wherever we can influence our ideology. But finally, uh, I'm of the opinion that people will be very normal very soon, maybe in a couple of years.
Right, right. You did mention about having a change in the bylaws and the standards moving forward, but I would want to ask you that till that takes place, because that is a lengthier process we all know about. So, what is the thing that we as designers can do at our grassroots level, which is in our own firm? So, have we taken some steps when it comes to changing the way that we were designing, let's say 2 years back, to what we are giving the client right now? So, if all of you can share some inputs on that, we'll start with you so that we can
Yeah.
lead it.
No, definitely we should. We should. There's no doubt about it because, now what happened that lockdown gave us a good time to even be ourselves at home, and that actually taught us a lot of things. Like Badri and people, they are definitely knowing about the intricacy of the house, but we understood that how much time, how many times the bell is ringing and what the action is, what is the access, what is the importance of kitchen, what is the kind of detailed kitchen or the balcony or the, even the simple swing, home office, the space, even the cleaning areas. So I think as a designer we learned a lot, and that is what is going to adopt in the design philosophy as well. So the less complex houses is the need of the time, just because earlier time, it was the aesthetic driven houses. Even right now, it is a brochure or aesthetic driven houses, but now more important is the functional driven houses, which aesthetic will be definitely part of it, but the first priority would be the functionality, and then the access, the passage, the doorbell to the door, and then what comes first and what comes next, and then the balcony particularly, that is absolutely a great need now, which was there. But as I've told you that, due to bylaws, people were actually doing a lot of juggleries, and
Yeah.
it has been shown as a balcony and then been converted into a small office or small area, or many jugaad is happening. But now people have understood that what is meaningful, and definitely as a designer we definitely adopt and we put in our plan. But I hope that along with us, the end user or the developer and the authority also should take a step forward
Right.
to understand. And there should be a lot of discussion should happen in the where the people are really influential, town wise or the city wise, and where of course the CEO is doing a lot of work towards that, and then a lot of dialogues are going on. But wherever it is possible in group, this discussion should be part of it, where people should implement such changes.
Right, right. I agree. Sure, we'll actually take it through Swapnil. Swapnil, are you able to hear us? I think
Yeah, I'm able to
the
hear you.
internet is. Okay. Swapnil, I just want to know from you, since probably you missed the question. So I actually want to understand whether you, as a person leading your firm, have put in some standards or implications at the grassroots, at your firm level, in designs post the pandemic or during the pandemic, which probably were not something that you were considering before 2 years.
Uh,
I think we've lost him again. Sure. Okay, then we'll probably move on to you, Rohit. If you can probably give us some insights into what changes have you kind of instilled at the firm level.
I think, I mean, with what Badri and Dipen have been saying, um, I think in many ways, all of us have reacted the same way. I mean, to start with, I feel at the heart of every creative person is a certain sense of idealism and a certain sense of belief in what's true. So I think much of what everyone is saying is, I mean, their sense of philosophy, at least with the forum here, and their sense of design has been deeply rooted, almost preemptively to what's happening now in the world. So I don't think anyone here is saying we designed with lack of ventilation, or I don't think anybody here is saying that we designed with a lack of sense to, climate study, or with a lack of sense of place. So I think in that way, fundamentally, I don't think much has changed with the way we are designing from the way we were designing. Um, what we have probably incorporated, and I think like Dipin said, and what we're trying to inculcate, let's say more than anything else in anybody right now, is the importance of hygiene. And like Dipin also said, it's not let's say with the disparity in India, it's not really the case with everyone that they are even have access to ways to be personally more hygienic. But I think 70% or 60 to 70% of India is rural. So I mean, the actual rural areas, everything is going on quite well. They drink fresh water, they drink, and they do, everything is still rooted where it used to be. There's this little pocket in the middle that's the real issue. So I feel no, I mean, particularly we haven't really changed the way we design. But yes, everything that we have been designing for is more easily accepted by the clients now, with what even Badri or Depen was saying. So it's, yes, definitely they themselves have come to the understanding as to what we've been trying to push all along.
Right, right. So, we have been talking about the urban environment where, we are talking about how we can take it at our level. But I would also want to talk about, let's say, the rural environment where, there is a residential space need for them as well. So I want to understand that when we have a space constraint like that, and now there is a, higher need for sanitation and higher need for, developing the scenario at grassroots rural level. So, what is the kind of design that we are approaching with? We can start with Badri ma'am.
As Deepen sir said some time back, simpler
Yeah,
living, simpler design. What
yeah,
he was trying to say, I have one word for it: human centric, a human touch.
yeah.
That is why when he said बहुत ज़्यादा automation नहीं, so I agree with him.
Right,
Simpler
right,
is best. Just being tuned
right.
in with nature, like Rohit said. Just the people in the rural areas are doing fresh sun, fresh air, fresh water, fresh
Hmm.
vegetables. So adapting that, simple.
Right, right. So, when I talk about then, moving from rural to urban, this population, when it is moving from the rural to the urban locations, and they are getting a cluttered space to live in, where they are probably, six, seven, eight people living together in, one small setting. So, what implications in terms of design that they can do at their level to kind of have, let's say an open space as well, and have a socially distant environment, or have a much more sanitized environment when it comes to design? Do we have any inputs on that?
So
Right.
Himani, I think this whole process, if you're talking about how we're going to urbanize the rural, I
Yeah.
think um, for one, it's a huge challenge because one, there's a lot to learn from them. I think they are, and there is a challenge on one front, perhaps, which bringing this type of urbanization and technology and things like that to an otherwise self-serving population, in urban India. I'm sorry, in rural India.
Mhm.
So I feel the sheer population that we have in itself is a challenge to be able to do to sort of have a system that scales seamlessly without issue.
Mhm.
So I feel, I mean, how are we going to bring how are we going to urbanize rural India is a question that is far bigger than just us as architects. I feel from
Right.
the from
Yeah.
regulatory to to have sort of this programmatic, that we program this change gradually, and it is going to be gradual because the scale is
Yeah,
just too large. I mean, here we are complaining about the lack of vaccinations and things, but we've already vaccinated 5 times the population of New Zealand. So,
yeah,
everything is a challenge in India. We used to, I mean, when we were in school, we needed to run to get our water after, a class of sports, because if we reach a little late, the water will be over. So yes, we don't know how to stand in queues, maybe as well as the West does, but it is the case, right? So even this change of bringing rural to urban, and these kind of things are very very complex matters. There's no easy
yeah.
answer to it.
Right,
Space
right.
space is going to become an issue, and therefore it is how well we think within the challenges we face that will determine how our children and grandchildren are going to live.
Right, right. Sure. Okay. Swapnil, since we have you here, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, if
Yeah.
technology
Okay.
allows me.
No worries. Okay, so I
Stay
have a quick
long.
question for you. Talking about the projects that
Yeah.
you showed us, and also,
Yeah.
the kind of project that you've done, talking specifically about Resident 66. In that project, you kind of explained the need of interactive architecture, which, was carefully planned around the concept of courtyard housing, and, it attempted to transform the notion of congested living, right? So I want to know, like, now with increased population, change in climatic conditions, will such housing style take over? Do we have space for such things? I think we've lost Swapnil again. Okay, no worries. So I'll take up the question for you, Rohit. What I have in mind is the project that we dearly love, which you had done, called the overlapping volumes. There was an introduction to the way one saw luxurious living at large, right? So, what do you think is a designer's role towards the changing conversation over mental well-being related to residential planning as such when you design such spaces? Can you tell us a little more about that project, and talking specifically about mental well-being and residential planning?
See, in the context of luxury, like you brought up the project we've done. So as you know, Himani, this project did win us the World Architecture Award, which I am
Yeah,
sometimes very confused with. I'll tell you why. I
yeah,
think for my co-panelists here and for myself, if I may say so, dealing with clients who are after opulence and dealing with clients who are after luxury is somewhat contrary to our or counterintuitive to our very innate beliefs, because
mhm,
luxury is about being unique. It's about being not found, let's say not found as easily, and certainly not replenished, whereas sustainability is all about replenishment, right? So people who want opulence, people who want luxury are going for these things which are by default scarce. um, in this particular home, that was my biggest challenge on how it was for a politician. So it was how to bring this person to understand that we need to build a home. A house and a home are two different things. We need to build something that yes, people step into and feel that yes, they're stepping into a certain sense of opulence, but at the same time to use materials that are true to themselves. So I think that that is what for me was the takeaway in
mm,
terms of how we got that space. There's a stark difference between how we made the bedrooms to how we made the drawing room, or how we had to divide the space into public and private areas. Home is essentially private, but in this particular house, um, the public was seriously public, with a lot of political
yeah.
ministers and so on coming. So I think that balance is what I try to sort of tread very carefully and present in a way that we wouldn't feel was against our own beliefs. So
Right.
yeah.
Right, sure. Okay. Also the project that we've seen from Mr. Dipen Gara, it kind of showcased courtyard spacing and courtyard planning at large. So I also want to know from you that, your residences showcase these bold, clean lines and open spaces. So how do you think that contemporary architecture has changed within the changing urban landscape? How do you still keep it relevant?
Your mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think every designer is performing as per the context given to them. As Rohit rightly said, that if the house is for politician and the need is different, then definitely he has to perform within that boundary. But of course, he can bring the brilliance of what he can do, the best out of that as well. At the same time, we also have to perform project to project in a way that what exactly is the need of the project and how
Right.
best we can perform in terms of availability of space and the surrounding and everything.
Hmm.
And house to house, it is really, really different. Like what Swapnil showed earlier is the small, tiny house within the 1200 or 1500 square feet. And in fact, after, I mean, so many years, recently we have performed on a few projects, which is only 1500 square feet of plot. And just for sake of doing it, because people have an idea that he is doing all big things. So we wanted to change that notion. So we took that challenge, and actually it was a more and greater fun working on that tight space than the luxurious space or the ample space. So as I've said you, it is contextual, and when you believe in yourself, when you believe in the ethos of design and climatic condition, you respect climate and the true sense of all the fundamentals. I believe one can perform on any kind of uh, uh, design challenge. That's what one can
Right.
do. I also wanted to add a little more on your earlier question, which is
So,
based on the rural to urban transformation.
yeah, yeah,
I have a belief that it is not that easy. Number one, number two is we have to make rural more stronger, so that people should use that rural area as a satellite town, then to shift themselves to the urban area, because it's a big challenge. And third is there is no design solution frankly right now if designer can put or think on such kind of panel or put on the paper. But if some designer need to attend and really solve that issue, they have to go and live within them. Then and then only we can understand the problems of such areas, and then you can resolve gradually as it is a programmatically, because it's not that easy. But the
yeah,
most important is that we can make rural area more hygienic, more organized, and more powerful, so that people should not shift, and the transport facility should be such that after work they can go back to their home and not they jump into the urban area. That's very, very important.
right. So clearly, all sectors have to come together and have a
Of
balanced
course.
relationship to push this forward. Right. Sure.
True.
Okay.